This video we're going to look at the Russian Revolution. We're going to learn what role did Lenin play in the Russian Revolution. Be sure to copy this timeline in your social studies notebook. Also, be sure to copy these terms and definitions in your social studies notebook. Pre-revolutionary Russia. Russia was the only true autocracy left in Europe. In 1884, Nicholas II became the last Russian Tsar. This means king. He believed he was the absolute ruler anointed by God. Anointed means officially or formally chosen. Russia's serfs. A serf is an agricultural laborer bound under the feudal system to work on his lord's estate. Russia was divided into two groups, the very rich and the extremely poor. These were your serfs, also known as peasants. In exchange for working long hours for a landlord, a serf received a small log hut, that's a tiny piece of land, and a few animals. Most of the serf's crops went to pay the landlord's taxes. Anyone who resisted the rules was beaten with a leather and wire whip. Many tried to escape, but few succeeded. Bloody Sunday. In 1905, Russia lost the war with Japan, which angered many serfs and workers because their family members were forced to fight in the war. On January 22nd, thousands of people marched on the Winter Palace to ask Tsar Nicholas for reforms. Palace troops shot people in the crowd. This became known as Bloody Sunday. More and more riots began to occur after this. The effects of World War I. In 1914, Russia entered the war but did not do well. Millions of soldiers were killed, wounded, or missing. People suffered severe food shortages, and soldiers did not have enough clothes, shoes, or weapons to survive. Tsar Nicholas ignored the signs that people were unhappy. He was seen as a weak man and became increasingly remote as a ruler. He did not see that changes were needed in the way that his country was run. Numerous Soviets thus began to appear on the scene. See if you can understand this political cartoon about the Tsar. Time for a change. In early 1917, there were riots in the streets. Women, factory workers, and farmers demanded a change. These groups greatly outnumbered the police, and the military could not keep the peace. Tsar Nicholas was forced to give up his throne, and a weak government took over. The Tsar and his family were captured. Revolution spreads. Opening of the Duma. The Duma is the Russian Congress. There were 3 attempts to make the Duma work, but each was too radical and still favored only the wealthiest Russians. In the end, there were just too many problems, so it was time for another revolution. Vladimir Lenin. In 1917, Vladimir Lenin pushed the weak government aside and communists took control of Russia. Tsar Nicholas and his family were executed. In 1922, Lenin reorganized the country and named it the Soviet Union. This joined Russia, Belarus, Armenia, Georgia, and Ukraine. Why communism? Communism is a theory that says the government should own the farms and factories for the benefit of all the citizens. Everyone should share the work equally and receive an equal share of the rewards. This appealed greatly to many Russians because there was such a huge split between rich and poor. Lenin promised that communism will bring fairness and equality to all Russians.